What is art?
What is art?
What is art?
What is art? What is art?
What is art?
What is art?
What is art?
What is art? My name is DaQuane and I'm from North Carolina. We are art. We all are different shapes, sizes, colors. That's what art is about. So without it, there would be no earth, there would be no universe, because the universe itself comes in different colors, shapes, sizes of the planets, different shapes, sizes, and colors of humans, dogs, and like all animals in general, different colors, grass, like it's expression. Without expression, we are one, and being one of the same is nothing. The beauty of it is all being different and being your own. My biggest influence, I have three. My number one is Basquiat. Just his idea of just expressionism in general and how he just uses his emotions and painted them and plastered them on the canvas. This African artist named Nelson, he highlights a lot of children aspect of art. Realism meets abstract, and then Banksy. That's kind of like where I got the whole balloon idea from. The red balloon was his thing, and I just kind of put my own little twists of all three. Of course, but putting my own aspect of life into it. Yeah. Since I can remember, since like elementary school, it started off as a therapeutic sense, and I've just been rocking with it ever since. I did take a break for like quite some years until my freshman year of college. It was because of my friends. She had an art class and she needed someone to do a portrait of Angelina Jolie, and she heard that I can like do art a little bit, and I didn't tell her like how, because I never really expressed it as much in the past. So when I finally did it for her, it turned out just like Angela Jolie, and I realized how good I was again, cause I forgot, it's been so long. So I went to Walmart that same day and maxed out my credit card and bought a whole bunch of paintings, like canvas and paint. And that was the first time I tried painting. Pretty much the idea of just expressing so freely. Initially, like I'll have an idea of what I want to do in my mind, but I just let my hands just go. Whether it's, I don't really call them mistakes, like whether I had like an initial idea, I draw a circle and it turns out like a triangle, that means that's what was supposed to be on the canvas at that moment. And I feel like that's what brings me joy, the idea of just letting art be. This is a great question, because if I did this for money, I wouldn't be doing this right now. Because I'm pretty sure everyone knows. Well, I feel like if you're not an artist, you don't really realize how hard it is being an artist, how starving you have to be an artist. It takes a lot of dedication. It takes a lot of believing in yourself, understanding that you are a milestone, you are a foundation for the next, whether it's the next artist, whether it's someone that speaks a different type of emotion within your painting to make them feel a way. You have a lot of weight on your shoulders that you put on your canvas, that you put in your music, that you put in your poetry. Without our eyes, where would Maya Angelou be? You know, like Meaning, without her instilled words, where would black culture or just poetic culture or just English culture in general, what would we be today? If it wasn't the idea of Basquiat, where would us black artists be today? We have someone that started off from the slumps and showed us that anyone can make it out. But with instilling that by making it out, you have to make it within. So you have to be rich within, and that's wealthy in your emotions, wealthy in your passion, wealthy in the love for it. Because if you're doing it just for money, it shows. There has been times in the past where I've done commissions or just paintings in general that I know it was strictly for money. I didn't like them, and to me they were like my worst paintings of all. The ones that I really truly love was the ones that I did because I was pissed off, or because I was so in love, or because I was so happy, or I was so sad. And instead of punching someone in the face or crying, I put it on a canvas. Art has no definition. Me personally, I get kind of aggravated with the idea of art classes, not necessarily because there's people that want to learn how to excel in their art, but more so how it's graded. It should be no grade. Because if the teacher tells you to draw an eye and it's not the exact eye that she did, why do you get an F for it? That was your expression, your version of what an eye is to you, and that's what art is to me. Art is the idea and expression of what it means to you. If art was supposed to have one definition or have one of the same, it would be boring, because every piece would be the same, just like the next piece. The beauty of it is it has that person's emotion, whether we all, whether we all draw the eye or whether we all draw a red balloon. That red balloon had a different meaning. Red is a powerful color. To one person, that red balloon, the red may symbolize love, or to other one it could be anger, or one power, that's just the beauty of just color and just shapes and sizes and art in general. It's just based on who you are. And that art is not just painting, art is not just sketching, art is music, art is poetry, art is the written word, the different languages, the way we move, the way we dance. Art has no definition because it all expressed. When people are cursing, that's art. That's how they're forming, that's how they're expressing themselves. If we're dancing in the club, that's art. That's how we're feeling. We're feeling whether we're dancing in a very energetic way or in a slow way, in a tango, salsa way. Like, it's still a version of expression. And I know that's just the beauty of it in general, that it has no definition.
What is art? What is art? My name is Mahdiyyah. I'm from East Orange, New Jersey. I currently reside in Brooklyn, New York. I'm a seamstress, designer, and instructor. Without art, the world would just be bland, devoid of any life, energy, any intense emotions. And I honestly feel like a lot of activism probably wouldn't have happened without art, because art is really just the manifestation of any expression. I mean, and like my definition, if I had to really put one on it, which is super hard, because you know how like elusive art is, but it's just like without art, it just would be like sad. I was encouraged to always be in the arts. I played harp, did sports, like all these different things. But when it came time to me to kind of present my idea to take it seriously, it was completely shot down. So I remember at that age is literally when I kind of like taught myself how to sew. I created a portfolio. I brought it to my mom and I'm like, I want to go to FIT. And this is at like 12, 13 years old. And she's like, it's not a lucrative business, you know, it's very fickle industry. I just don't want that for you. I want you to do something secure. And it really killed my hopes for a minute. And it was so funny. It just kind of became like a secret. Like it was like I would go in a mad, like a mad scientist, go in the lab, work on it on my own, like without telling anybody about it. Because as far as they were concerned, I wasn't, you know, doing it anymore. But I would just be like a friend to my 13-year-old self, and I would be like, yo, like, fuck what they saying, like, keep doing what you're doing. Like, clearly this is a gift that you realize at a very young age. Very few are fortunate to know that young what they're supposed to do and what they're gonna do, you know. I just really needed that friend, like that encouragement. So that's what I really would be to my 13-year-old self. Like, you know, it's like, damn. I feel like artists are like low-key junkies, and whatever our art and our skill is that we focus on is like our addiction. So it's like if you give us another art to focus on, that then becomes our addiction. So we do everything with like this meticulous ass eye and process that we would apply to any other of our addictions or skills. Like, so you go from doing like design to photography, now you're like into all the lenses, you're obsessed with this process, you're obsessed with that, figuring everything out, because I do it too. So I feel like that just is naturally what we are. It's like we have healthy addictions. Yeah, we're healthy addicts and junkies. My influences are everything around me, neighborhoods, nature. My balance of masculinity and femininity is a big influencer, which I think contributes again to my obsession with black and white. I just feel like there always has to be that right balance of things, right? And I'm almost obsessed with symmetry. So what's happening on one side, I like to be happening on the other side. So that influences it. And I would say less about people and more about things like shapes, colors, certain music. I have a playlist that I listen to specifically when I want to get in a vibe. It's called Sample Heaven. Sky's the Limit by Biggie. Like, you have Roy Ayers, a lot of his music, because, you know, a lot of rap and hip-hop sample Roy Ayers, so that's a big part of it. Lonnie Liston Smith, Idris Muhammad. I love jazz. Like I said, I used to play harp, you know what I mean? So I have a natural love for music that it's just always been there, so it has to be a part of my process. And then I also have those moments where I will turn the music off and just listen to the needle and thread, and that's a lot of times when I need to just meditate and just listen to that sound so that I can just kind of go somewhere else mentally. So it just really depends on the nature of the project, what I'm doing, and how I'm feeling. But influencers are that. Like, influencers for me are not people. Like, I might like 5 things out of 10 outfits, and then after that I might not like anything else that person does or put out. So it's like they can't be a constant, you know what I mean, influence. And I think that whatever it is that we obsess over are really our schools of thought. So for you to be stuck in one school of thought is it's not good as an artist. You know, it should be ever changing. So maybe Toni Morrison inspired me, right? And I have like a lot of her books. I love Toni Morrison, one of my favorite authors of all time. Then I was like, who else do I like? I've been on Zora Neale Hurston books lately. I really love her books, right? She's an anthropologist, a historian, like she does all these things. Her story is amazing, right? So it just changes, always changing. A lot of Missoni prints I like. That's a designer, Italian, right? Knits, really good knit stuff, right? I like his stuff. And then I never really got into like those bigger brands that other people like. I think I had a short stint in like undergrad where I was like, I want a Burberry hat. My stuff doesn't need to follow anybody else's, like, I don't know what you want to call it, guidelines or rubric. And the minute it does, it's just like, what am I doing here? You know what I mean? It's like I lose myself. And if I lose myself, then it's like not in a good way. It's not going to be what I want it to be. I was so into it. I was like, I had to create this look on my Barbies. So my Barbies was like looking like En Vogue. Like they all had these matching outfits that I made out of stockings. And I remember showing my mom, and she was just like, wow, like that's incredible. And then I went outside to play with my friends on the block, and they just laughed at me. And I was like, fuck, like this is creative, this is big, you know? And I think it was at that moment I really learned discernment and just kind of like how to understand that everybody's not going to like me or like what I'm doing and really be okay with it, you know? On the one hand, you are getting your art out there much easier. You're reaching a vast audience, like way more people than you would have back in the day, right? And then with that also comes more inspiration because you have art that's like easily accessible to you at any cost. You don't have to go physically to a museum. You can just like Google an artist, all their work pops up. But then the other side of that sword is the fact that your art is not as protected as it normally would have been, right? Because like people can go on Instagram, they can go on all these like social media pages, these websites, and just screenshot and they have your art. So like how exclusive is it really? You know, it's like my mom would always say, once you put something on the internet, it's out there, it's gone. It no longer belongs to you. Somebody else can own it at any cost. Your face, your image, your voice, anything, right? And so I think that comes with it. So in a way, it's kind of stressful for artists because our intellectual property is like robbed and at times taken advantage of. So I like it for the exposure we get, but I dislike it for the lack of exclusivity and how much control we no longer have over what's out there, what's duplicated, how it's done, you know what I mean, that kind of thing. So double-edged sword, yeah. Art is everything. If I could really give it a definitive like meaning though, for me art is just me manifesting expression, like self-expression. Like whatever I feel, whatever I think at the moment, I put it into that, and once it's out, it's like I'm light again, you know? It almost comes with like a load or like a heaviness, and then you express yourself when it's there, it's going. So it's you really like just expressing yourself in a way that talks without you having to talk to other people and kind of like says things without you having to open your mouth and go, this is what I feel, this is what I think. Somebody sees it and they feel it and they're like, ooh, like, yeah, I know what this artist was feeling, I think, when they felt it. And half the time they'll be wrong as fuck, but you'll be like, yeah, let's go with that because it's supposed to make you feel. So anything that causes that reaction, like, you know, that's art. Like, I painted my room wall black and with like 3 white stripes going down it.